Okay, so hi guys. Here's the thing. So last night I had made a video regarding this stuff here. And I did make it really late last night, apparently, as you can see from the time here. I did make a video about this stuff. I'm gonna just go ahead and explain exactly what I did, just because you know, apparently, I mean, I don't want to have to like write it down all over again. So, but I can still play like the playback of how I wrote it and all that stuff. If y'all could just give me a second. So, okay, so this is what I did. So basically, I was getting into how to actually solve quadratic equations using by completing the square. So let's see. So let me go ahead and replay all this stuff so that y'all can see exactly what I did. So basically, I wrote down a quadratic equation. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna add 38 on both sides. As you can see here, I added 38. And then you're gonna go ahead and you're still gonna put your C value here just because you want to complete the square. So you're not gonna leave this. I mean, you can put a blank on it, but you're gonna have to fill it out apparently, because you know, basically when you do a quadratic equation like this, by completing the square, you have to solve for C. And once you do that, that means that, so you have x, so then you have that C is equal to 49, so you add it, and whatever you add to here, you have to add to the right side, okay? And then once you do that, you can factor this equation out here. This factors out as a perfect square. So it's x plus 7 squared, and then I add this part and I make it equal to 87, right? And so as you could see from, let's see, as you could see from this part here, I say to take the square root, and then I go ahead and I took the square root of both sides, and so then that canceled the square out, and I said x plus 7 equals plus or minus 87. One of the things that I said in the video that I had made last night was that when you take the square root of a number, you're gonna have to take the plus or minus square root of it. So anytime you take the square root of a number, you always have to take the plus or minus square root. And then once I did that, all I did was I had x plus 7 equals plus or minus the square root of 87, and to solve for x, I just went ahead and subtracted 7 on both sides, and that was my answer. So I'm gonna do another example regarding this. I also did this example here, and this one was one I made up. It wasn't really a good one just because I didn't really, it wasn't a good example. It was a bit too difficult to actually do. But I'm gonna go ahead and do another example. So here, let's just erase all of this stuff. And I'm gonna go ahead and find a quadratic equation that I can do that basically gives me so let's just say I had x squared plus 5x minus 6 equals 0, okay? Let me go ahead and disconnect the mouse. So let's just say I had an equation like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing that I did for these two problems. I explained this a little bit too quick, so that's why I'm doing another one. Just to show you guys what I've already done. Oops. My bad. Let me go back. So this was another one that I did as well. It was the same idea that I did. But we're gonna do a more thorough example so that you guys can see exactly how I'm doing it. So what you're gonna do first, again, so you're gonna add 6 to both sides, okay? Okay, let me just write that. So you're gonna add 6 to both sides, okay? So then you do plus 6 here and plus 6 here, and then you put x squared plus 5x equals 6, okay? And actually I'm gonna put it like this. So now we see that we have a plus blank here. And if we add a blank, like I said, if we add, for example, if I put plus c, I have to do the same thing to the other side, okay? Because now we have to make it a perfect square, and to do that, we have to find our c value first, and then factor. So, because otherwise we can't make this a perfect square. A perfect square, so just so I can show y'all what a perfect square is, it's like if I said x plus 3 to the 4th, or x plus, or actually no, that's not a perfect square, but it's like if I said x plus 3 squared, or x minus 2 squared, or x minus 7 squared, x plus 5 squared, like anything that's a factor squared is a perfect square, okay? And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this. I'm trying to make this equal to x plus something squared, okay? So the second thing I would say is to basically solve for c on both sides. Oops. Or actually not on both sides, but basically solve for c. And like I said, the reason why you or the first thing that I would say is, once you add 6 and you have like basically, so I'm gonna do it like this. So if I have this x squared plus 5x equals 6, I'm gonna say, well, now we add c c to both sides, okay? So just so that way you guys can understand the steps, and it's just something you have to get used to. Like I said, it may not make a lot of sense now, but the more you practice it, the more you'll understand why you're actually doing it that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add c to both sides, and I'm doing this again because I want to make this expression into a perfect square. And I cannot do that if I just have 2 terms, okay? I have to have 3 terms. So that's the thing. So I'm going to use the formula. So there's a formula that you have to use. It's c equals b divided by 2 quantity squared. And remember that our equation is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals equals d. D being a constant term. So here a equals 1, b equals 5, and c equals something else. We don't know what it is. So now what you want to go ahead and do is actually, so to plug in those values in for b. So you're going to put, the fourth thing you're going to do is you're going to say c equals 5 divided by 2 quantities squared. And then that's going to give you that c is equal to 25 divided by 4. And the reason why I say that is because of the squaring of a fraction rule, where you say a over b squared equals a squared over b squared. So this is basically 5 squared over 2 squared, and that's 25 over 4. So that's how I got that. And then, so then you're gonna put x squared plus 5x plus 25 over 4 is equal to 6 plus 25 over 4, okay? This is a little bit hard to factor. So, let's see. So, the one thing that I would do at this point to factor this, I would try to make this, I would try to multiply this to get rid of the fraction. That way I have 4x squared plus 20x plus 25. And then I'm going to try to see if I can actually factor it. So now we have 4 times 25 is going to be 100, and then this is going to be 20. So then two numbers that, so we have m times n equals 100, and we also have m plus n equals 20. So two numbers that I can think of are 10 and 10, because 10 times 10 is 100, and 10 plus 10 equals 20. So I can say 10 and 10, and then I do my my rule for to factor it. So here's gonna go my ax squared, so this is 4x squared. On this one, I have my 10, the left side of my x box, so it's 10x, and then over here is the right side of my x box, it's 10x, and then I have a 25. So now I can just go ahead and, so basically now I can look for factors that I can use for both these two. So the factors that I'm thinking of are 2. So I can say that this is equal to 2x and 2x. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. And then 10x, so then once you do that, you can just say 10x divided by 2x. This cancels out, so that's going to be equal to 5. So it's going to be 5 times 2x. And then here, 2x times something is equal to 5x. So it's going to be 5x over here. Or no, sorry. It's going to be 5. So that gives me 2x plus 5 quantities squared. So now this factors as, so basically now I have 4, so I had 4 times x squared plus 5x plus 25 over 4. And I did that because, let's see, so I did that to cancel out my, my 25 over 4, okay? I did that to cancel out my 25 over 4, because we can't, it's a lot harder to factor out x squared plus 5x plus 25 over 4. This is too hard. So too difficult to factor, okay? That's why I went ahead and just got rid of the fraction. So that gave me 4x squared plus 20x plus 25 is equal to, and whatever, I think it's whatever this is equal to. I think that since I went ahead and did this, I go ahead and just do the same thing here. So this is gonna give me, that it is equal to, so it's gonna be 4, so it's gonna be 24 plus 25 basically, because the fact that I multiplied by 1 on one side to get rid of the fraction. Anytime that you multiply or divide on one side, you have to do it to the other side. So that gives me 2x plus 5 squared. So this is 2x plus 5 squared is equal to, and this is equal to about 49. Okay, so if you now you have a perfect square, so you now just go ahead and take the square root. Okay, so yeah, so the only thing I would say about this one is that I went ahead and multiplied to get rid of the fraction. So that's just one extra step that you have to do with this one, because you don't want to have, unless you can go ahead and, factor this out, then you can go ahead and do it. But for me personally, I don't think it's really that easy. So that's why I went ahead and multiplied by 4 to get rid of this fraction, and then I factored. And the same thing, and because I multiplied by 4 on this side, it's like if I went ahead and said, if I went ahead and said 4x minus 4 equals 24, and I went ahead and I said, 4 times x minus 1 equals 24. Well, I can divide by 4. So because I divide by 4 on here, I have to divide by 4 over here. So then I say x minus 1 equals 6. So then that means that x equals 7. But, you know, that's exactly the same idea here, is that because I multiplied by 4, I do the same thing, even if it's multiplication. So basically, I want to just remind you guys that multiplying, so basically, if you multiply on one side, multiply or divide on one side of the equation, you have to multiply or divide by the same factor on the other side, okay? No matter what. So you have to, anytime that you multiply by something on one side, you always do it to the other side as well. It's like whenever we do, for example, if I said 4x squared minus 40x minus 10, or no, minus, let's say minus, minus 8 is equal to, like, something crazy, like, you know, like, 20. I would go ahead and multiply, or divide by 4. And then I would go ahead and then if I went ahead and just added it, so let's just say that this is just to show you guys that, you know, you definitely have to do this kind of stuff. So just so you guys can know exactly why I went ahead and, you know, divided, or yeah, why I multiplied by 4 on both sides, just to show y'all an example. So, so if I go ahead and divide by 4 on both sides, it's gonna give me the exact same thing that it gave me up here. That's exactly why I multiplied by 4, and it doesn't really matter as long as, I mean, that's exactly why I multiplied by 4 over here. Or rather, over here, in this part here. So, so let's just go back to our problem. And sorry if I kind of got off topic, but that's just to show you guys why I actually did that, in case y'all have any questions. So, this actually simplifies as 2x minus 5 equals 7, or rather, plus or minus 7, because remember, when we take the square root, we always take the plus or minus square root, okay? So then we have 2x minus 5 equals plus or minus 7. I can go ahead and add by 5 on both sides. This will give me 2x equals 5 plus or minus 7. So then I go ahead and divide by 2 on both sides, and I get that x equals 5 plus 7 over 2, or 5 minus 7 over 2. And then that's going to give me x equals 12 over 2, or x equals negative 2 over 2. So that means that x equals negative 1, or x equals 6. And sometimes they're going to want you to enter it in set notation. So basically like this, from increasing from lowest to highest, so from negative 1 to 6, and that's going to be x equals, and that'll be your final answer. That one was kind of a tricky one. It wasn't that crazy though. We're gonna do one more. So so let's just say that I have give me a second, guys. I'm trying to see if maybe I can. Let's see. So let's just say that we have something that, you know, and I'm only gonna do this one just because, you know, I don't know if they really give you these kind of problems, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyways, just so, because I think you also do these with vertex form, okay? So if you have, for example, if you have this problem here, and you want to solve for x, what you're going to do first is you're going to go ahead and subtract 6 on both sides. So that's the first step, is subtract 6 on both sides, okay? And then that's going to give you 2 quantity x minus 1 squared equals 2. And then you're going to go ahead and number 2 divide by 2. So then you'll have something like this. And then you'll go ahead and, this cancels out, so you'll have x minus 1 squared equals 1. And then you're going to go ahead and take the square root. So that's the first, or the third step is take the square root. And then remember, and sorry for my bad handwriting, remember to include positive and negative square root, okay? So when you take the square root, you're gonna do this, and then that's gonna be x minus 1, because this cancels out, the square root, these two cancel out, so it's gonna be x minus 1 equals plus or minus 1. So then that means that x minus 1, so if you solve for x, so basically the fourth step is to add 1 to both sides. Okay. Trying to see where exactly. Okay. So, and then you're gonna get x equals plus or minus, or sorry, 1 plus or minus 1. So that means that x equals 1 plus 1, or x equals 1 minus 1. So your answers end up being x equals 2 and x equals 0. And if they wanted in set notation or in brackets, you're just going to say 0 to 2. Okay, x equals, and that's going to be your answer. I'm going to try to do one from CUDA software, if it's in here. So, let's see. So, I'm going to try to do one. Let's try to do number 15, okay? And I'm going to put my k values as x values just because I work easier with x values, x and y mostly. So it's good. Let's just copy it down. So we have 5x squared is equal to, oops, sorry guys, hold on. 5x squared equals 60 minus 20x. So, okay, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is make equation equal to 0, okay? So, so basically, so you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna go ahead and subtract, you're gonna go ahead and do this by subtracting 60 and adding 20x on both sides. You can put minus 5x squared, but the thing is that I personally like to make my leading coefficient positive because it's a lot easier that way. So one thing I would recommend, this is just my own opinion, I mean, you can do it the other way, but I personally think that this is a lot easier. Make leading coefficient positive, okay? This is just a lot easier in my opinion if you make the leading coefficient positive, because if you make it negative, you're gonna have to do like negative times parentheses, and that's just gonna make it, it's gonna make it very difficult. So that's kind of what I recommend. So then we have 5x squared minus, or sorry, plus 20x minus 60 equals 0. And you're gonna go ahead and add 60 to both sides. So then this is gonna be, you're gonna cancel this out. You're gonna get 5x squared plus 20x. And then again, remember I said to put this as your C value, and then it's going to be equal to 60 plus C because we want to complete the square. Okay. So the second part would be add 60 to both sides. Okay. And sorry if this looks kind of like an at symbol, my O's. So basically, yeah, add 60 to both sides, and then number 3 would be to add C to both sides, okay? So, so now, or you could, you could always, like I said before, you could always make it just be equal to this, and then you can do the third step, which is to add a C to both sides, and that way you can have 5x squared plus 20x plus C equals 60 plus C. The fourth step would be to use the formula C equals B over 2 quantity squared to solve for C. And then, so you would do 20 divided by 2 squared, because, so here A equals 5, B equals 20, and C, we don't know what it is. So that would give us, so it's C equals 20 divided by 2 squared, and that's 20 squared over, or rather, we do the very inside of the parentheses first. If we can factor it, or sorry, if we can simplify it, we can go ahead and do that. So this is, we can actually simplify this. This is actually 10. So it's going to be 10 squared, and that's going to be 100. So then that means that we're going to have 5x squared plus 20x plus 100 equals 60 plus 100. So that means that we're going to have 5x squared plus 20x plus 100 equals 160, okay? One of the things that I'm going to go ahead and do, because this is actually really hard to factor without dividing, so I'm going to go ahead and divide by 5 on both sides to make it a little bit simpler. So that way we have x squared plus 4x plus 20. And then that's going to be equal to and so 160 divided by 5. Let's see. Is 32. So, now that we've done that, we can factor this out. So I think give me a second, guys. So it's going to be x squared plus 4x plus 20. And I think that because this so let's see. So, let's see. Plus 20x plus c equals 60 plus c. C equals b over 2 squared, so it's going to be 60 plus 100. So then x squared plus 4x plus 20 equals 32. Okay. So, okay, so I think that now if I go ahead and do it again, maybe if I do it again, so x squared okay, yeah, so you have to do it again because this isn't a perfect square yet, okay, guys? So that's what makes this one very difficult. Because doing it once, because I did it once, but you have to do it again. So basically, let me just go ahead and write the formula again. So, give me a second. So, so basically you're gonna do the same thing that you did on the last one. You're gonna subtract 20 on both sides, and then you're gonna do the same thing that I did, add c to both sides when you do that. Basically simplify the left and the right, and then add c, and then use the formula c equals b over 2 squared. That's why I got 4 over here, because I said c equals 4 divided by 2 quantity squared. So I got c equals 4. So then this gave me x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 12 plus 4. And now I can finally factor this out. This one, so this equation here was not able to be factored out. That's actually, it's a little bit more difficult to do that one. So that's why I didn't go ahead and do it, because it's impossible to factor this out. So what I did was I went ahead and I did it again, and I think that's what's gonna have to happen sometimes. You're gonna have to do it 2 times when you're solving by completing the square. But we finally got our perfect square. So now we can finally, so basically I solved for c, my c equals 4. I took the perfect square. So I took the perfect square, and then I said, because this factors as, if you want to factor it, it's basically it's gonna be So this is x, this is x, this is 2 times x is 2x, and then x times 2 is 2x. So that means that this, basically this part over here factors as x plus 2 times x plus 2, and that's exactly what I got here. The reason why I know how to do that is because at the top of my head is because, I mean, I've done these so much. I know some of you, if you don't know how to factor, once you get to this step, or once you get to this step here, you can always factor it using the method that I showed you guys before. Yeah, so that's how you do it. So then this is going to be x plus 2 squared equals 16. And then you have x plus 2 squared equals 16. So then you're finally going to take the square root of both sides, okay? So that means that it's going to be x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus 4. And then you're going to subtract 2 on both sides. And this part cancels out, and then you're going to be left with x equals negative 2 plus or minus 4. And then this means that x equals negative 2 plus 4, and x equals negative 2 minus 4. So that means that x equals 2, and x equals negative 6. Okay, so your solutions are, your solutions are x equals negative 6, and 2. And that is your answer. So, I hope you guys found this very helpful. I know some of them were kind of tricky, like this one was kind of tricky, and also this part was kind of tricky. It's because, you just have to remember that whenever you have a fraction, whenever you have something like this, you always want to make sure to make it, try to make it not have any fractions, because, it just makes it a lot messier to work with if you have fractions. And whenever you multiply, just remember that when you multiply on over here, or whatever you do to this to make it rid of the fraction, you have to do to the other side, okay? And then also, let's see, sorry guys, hold on. So also for this one, notice that I had to do it twice, and that's something that you probably are gonna have to do. So this was kind of a, I basically used the method 2 times in this one. The square root method, or not the square root method, the perfect square method in this one. So that's just to let you guys know, just a heads up, sometimes you're gonna have to do it twice. But once you do it again, you will most likely get the answer that way. But if you guys have any questions, or if you guys are, if you guys have any comments or questions or anything like that, please comment down below, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys found it very helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video. And in the next video, we're going to be finally learning how to do, how to factor, or how to solve using the quadratic formula. So thank you guys for watching. Bye.